Today we're going to make banana bread. Our banana bread is gluten, corn, dairy, soy, rice, nut, and yeast free, and we only sweeten with honey. And I've set out just a couple of items we need to make this bread. Some ripe bananas. You really don't want them too much more ripe than this because it can throw off the flavor a little bit. We're using a food processor. You could also use a hand mixer, but my preference is a food processor to get a nice creamy texture. We're using avocado oil, but you could use coconut, butter, light olive oil. I don't recommend using a extra virgin olive oil. I'm using 2 extra large jumbo eggs, and that is it. So what you want to do to get started, peel your bananas. We do have a banana measurement on our website. If your bananas are really large, you'll want to make sure you're not going too much over a cup on the banana puree. If you have too much banana, it can make the bread a little bit too moist. We're going to add 1/3 of a cup of oil. And I just put all of this together in the food processor. I crack my eggs in a bowl before I add them just to make sure I don't have to try to dig around and get a shell out. Okay, so I'm going to put the lid on here. And I'm just going to pulse this until the bananas are nice and pureed. Now I'm going to add the flour. The reason you want this pureed like this rather than smashed bananas is it helps to infuse the banana flavor more consistently and evenly. So just a few strokes, folding this over. I'm just going to put a little bit of oil. This is a non-stick pan, but I tend to put just a smidgen of oil throughout the pan. Okay, and I just pour this in. So the bread is all ready to go in the oven. If you wanted to make this bread egg-free, all you have to do is completely omit the eggs. Just don't add them. Do everything else the same. Add the same amount of oil, the same amount of bananas. Our recommendation is to try to not make an egg-free bread in a single loaf pan. Rather, make it in mini loaf pans or in the muffins, and you should have great success making this bread egg-free. So I'm now going to pop this into our preheated oven that's set at 350 degrees, and I'm going to bake it for 1 hour. Our timer's gone off, and the other indication that our bread is done is that the house smells like bananas. So I'm going to pull this out. I recommend cooling the bread on a cooling rack, and also let this cool for 1 hour. This is true for both of our quick rise breads, the banana and the pumpkin. You don't want to try to remove it from the pan right now. You want to make sure, I know it's hard, but you need to wait an hour before you pop it out of the pan and start slicing it. So we've waited an hour, and it's now time to take the bread out of the pan and prepare it for serving. I've sliced up a few pieces to enjoy right now. What I'm going to do with the remainder of the bread is store it on the counter for up to a week. If I want to store it longer than that, I'm going to pop it in the refrigerator for up to another week. And if I wanted to save it for an extended period of time, 2 or 3 months, I'd put it in an airtight container in the freezer. You can pre-slice it, or you can freeze it as a solid loaf like this. No matter how you serve the bread, people are going to be delighted with the outstanding taste and texture of this bread, and you can always feel good about serving something so delicious and healthy.